Hi everyone. You're gonna have to ignore my voice and my sneezing and my sniffling. I just got over the stomach bug and now I have a cold. So yeah, there's that. So today I had my saline ultrasound done, and basically what she was looking for was anything inside my uterus that shouldn't be there, scar tissue or any adhesions or anything like that. And then also there is a fluid pocket attached to my C-section scar that she was kind of worried about. She was thinking that maybe I'd have to have surgery to fix that if it was super bad, and the only way to fix that again is to open up my C-section scar, cut it out, and all that good stuff. So she found that I do have little scar tissue inside my uterus, but she wasn't concerned because she didn't see any more adhesions in there. So she said that looked good. And then the fluid pocket does have some fluid going into it, but there's not a lot of it, so that wasn't super alarming to her today. She's going to send my ultrasounds to some other doctors, other specialists who have dealt with these pockets before, and see what they would recommend. But right now, she is not putting surgery on the table, so I'm very, very happy about that. I did not want to have that surgery until I had another kid, because if anybody's had a C-section, you know how rough that is, you know how big of a surgery that is, and how hard a recovery it is. And that would also put me out of work, so very happy about that. Next steps, IVF. We talked about it today. We got some information on it. I actually have some packets here that I will share with you guys information on it and overwhelm you like we were overwhelmed. So, before I share what our plan of action is, I'm just going to show the 3 packages that we have. So the first one is an IVF Fresh package. That's where you do the monitoring, you do the medications and all of that, and then you go in, you have the embryo, the follicles taken out, grown in the lab as embryos, whatever, and then on day 5 of that, of embryo growing, you transfer, and that's called a fresh transfer. Now, with a fresh transfer, you cannot do any testing to the embryo, like genetic testing or anything like that, because it's fresh, you're not freezing it. Now, with a fresh transfer, the total amount of the package is $12,500. Now, that is just for the retrieval, and that's the monitoring with ultrasounds, office visits. There's a mock embryo transfer. You get blood work, progesterone levels checked, LH, FSH, and 2 pregnancy tests. You get the retrieval, the prep, the thawing of the semen, culture and fertilization, embryo transfer with ultrasound guidance, and then they freeze your embryos for up to 1 year. That's what the $12,500 covers. Now, what it doesn't cover is the medications. So for this one, for a fresh transfer, the estimated cost for medications is between $4,000 to $7,000. That's a lot of money. And then they also don't cover the anesthesia service, which is $460, and they don't cover the genetic screening. So, that is package number 1. Package number 2 is the frozen embryo transfer. This package is $4,500. The only thing it doesn't cover is the medication, and that's between $1,000 to $3,000. And with this package, you have the monitoring with like 1 or 2 ultrasounds, the office visit, and the mock embryo transfer. You have your blood work checked, progesterone levels checked, all of that. They include the thawing of the embryos and the preparation of the transfer. And then they include the transfer. With the frozen package, it actually comes in like 2 parts. It's the frozen embryo transfer and then the embryo freezing package. So altogether, those two packages, they go hand in hand, so you have to have both of them. That's $15,000 right there. And of course, it's a lot of money. Now with the frozen embryo package, you have the chance to test your embryos for genetic abnormalities. I'm on the fence about this, if this is what we go with, because it is anywhere between $4,000 to $6,000 just to be tested. And there's a chance that when testing embryos, they're very fragile and this can damage them. And I don't think that's something we want to do. I don't think it's something we want to risk. We've had genetic testing done with both of us before, and we've both come back fine. And my thought is, whatever happens, happens. If we do this and we have an embryo that's transferred and there's a genetic abnormality, it's something we're going to have to live with. Not saying it's something that I hope happens, because nobody hopes that happens, but it's something that we would live with and that we would deal with. I don't want to risk anything happening to an embryo and losing it before we even transfer. I honestly don't want to pay that kind of money just for it to be tested and then have the chance of them losing the embryo. So that is off the table for us. We do not want to do that. So in relation to all of these costs, my insurance does not cover anything IVF related. They do cover, however, diagnostic testing for infertility, so that is good. I do have that coverage, which we already know I have infertility. So our next step, they have financing options. There is this company called Cape MD, and it's a special financing company that they use to help people who need help paying for IVF. Because let's face it, unless you have a bomb-ass job and you make a lot of money, nobody has $15,000 to $20,000 just laying around in the bank ready to go. That is not us. They do have that, and then they also have other discounts. There is one discount that we would qualify for, and that would take 20% off, and that would make it $12,000. So that would be amazing. So the package that we are looking at doing is the frozen embryo transfer. We want to do the medications, have them collect the follicles, and then we will freeze our embryos, and then we will do a frozen transfer. I've also heard that frozen transfers oftentimes are more successful than fresh. So that's another reason I wanted to do it. That and the cost. The medications for this one is also a lot cheaper than a fresh embryo transfer. Now, I did apply for this financing. They tell you to apply for $20,000, and they work out, amounts that they work out your payments, the amount of time that you pay back, and all of that. So we're currently waiting to see what comes of that. If we are denied for that, there is another financing option that we can try. So we are not putting all of our eggs in one basket. IVF completely depends on getting this financing. So if we are approved, we will be probably doing this in the February, beginning of March. So we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens. I'm not getting my hopes up, because I know as soon as I do, I will be crushed if I get denied. So we're taking it one step at a time. But that's what happened today at this appointment. We were hit with a lot of information. We were hit with a lot of numbers that we already knew going back from our old fertility specialist. Their office was around $17,000 to $18,000, not including medication. So this is actually cheaper, and they actually have more options for us. Another thing, this is not something I ever imagined myself doing. It is not something I ever wanted to do. It's not something that I would ever normally do. But we talked about it, and we are going to set up a GoFundMe account for this. Tons of people do it for medical expenses, and I know a lot of people don't believe in IVF. They believe that whatever God gives you, and you shouldn't use medicine to intervene and all of that. And that's fine. If you believe that, that's okay. We do not. We believe that if we want a baby, we will have a baby one way or another. We are going to try everything possible to have another one. If you donate, you donate. That is, you don't even know how appreciated that is. You have no idea how much that would mean to us. If you don't, that's fine too. We just want to try every avenue possible before we put this to rest. If we cannot do IVF, our fertility journey pretty much stops there. At that point, the only thing we can do is try naturally and hope and pray that it works. I'm still in my 20s, yes. I'm 26. I will be 27 this year, as will Brad. And when you start to get into your mid to late 20s, you don't really have as much time anymore to keep wasting. We've already spent 3 years. So coming from being 23 and trying and spending 3 years, 2 miscarriages later, you're kind of like, okay, we have to take action. We have to do something because we are nearing our 30s. And once you get into your 30s, age starts playing a factor. And that is not one factor that I need against me right now because I already have all these other ones. It just gets harder with age. Now, yes, you can be in your 30s and have kids and have no problem. I've seen it happen. My aunt is prime example, 30s, late 30s, early 40s, having 2 kids. So it is possible. But when you've had 5 miscarriages and 9 years of this altogether, for me, that's not something I want to gamble. I don't want to go another 3 or 4 years trying to have a baby and then it not happening. I don't have that in me to keep. I can't try for 7 years. I can't try for 6 years to have a baby. By then, Emmy will be 10 years old. I just can't do it. Emotionally, physically, I don't have it in me. This is our last this is our last chance to really, really give it our all before we're kind of just like, all right, at this point, whatever happens, happens. If we get to do this and it doesn't work, obviously it'll be devastating. If we do IVF and I miscarry, obviously I'll be devastated. So I guess we're just gonna have to see where it takes us, see what happens from here, and hope for the best. Here shortly I will be setting up that GoFundMe, and hopefully we'll get something. If not, then you know we're still thankful for people. At least share the post, at least share it so other people can see it, and maybe if other people have gone through the same thing, they'll be inclined to share it or donate or, you know, whatever. But I just wanted to give an update on that and let you guys know what our next steps are, because we decided we were going to be so open with this. And hopefully here in the next week or so, we'll have another update on what we're going to do.